Hello, and welcome, YouTube viewers. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've changed up the layout of my stream on Twitch. If you think that this layout is better than the previous one, please leave a comment and let me know. Or leave a comment if you have any other suggestions. I'm going to go ahead and get started with recapping where we left off. During the last stream, which was on Friday, I worked out some bugs in the gem scoring routines, and I made a simple user interface to show what your current score is while you're playing. So that was really cool, and I think I got that all working, but I wasn't super happy with with the user interface. I wanted to make it look a little bit better, so that's what I'm going to start off with right now, is watching some videos trying to figure out how to do user interfaces better. So I'm going to start out just with the web search. I'm just going to do like a Unity UI tutorial. I've got this one from Game Dev Guide. I've watched some of his videos before. I like that. Code Monkey I've heard about. We can go to Unity Learn and read up on UI components. And then there's some tutorial here on some guy's website, Introduction to Unity UI. Let's open that one and this one. Let's quickly scan through here. We've got I'm going to restrict my usage tracking. Go back. Whatever. So the table of contents, a menu scene, images and fonts, menu background image, canvas scaler. Hi, MW2 Melvin's dad. Thanks for joining the stream. We got pivot, we got buttons, a UI manager. It looks something like this, so when you hover over it and click on it, it does different effects. Here's a UI components tutorial on Unity Learn. They've got the button, image, text, events and event triggers, sliders, transitions. This one says it recommends an hour and 15. Probably get through that quite a bit faster. And then this one's a shorter video. Probably watch that one. Might come back to this one later, but that's like, this guy does a little bit more advanced tutorials.
Instead of building the typical tutorial game, what if you created a thrilling sci-fi adventure in only 7 days? Hello and welcome.
Okay. I think I want to start off with the UI components. This is through Unity Learn, so this will probably be pretty up to date. Last updated in December, so that's good. And this seems to go over all of the different kinds of components rather than trying to build something specific. Oh, sorry, your internet's really choppy right now. Looks pretty good on my end. I've got some statistics up here. I can see my upload speed and Doesn't look like anything's going wrong on my end. Okay. Oh, it's a bunch of videos, that's why it's probably an hour and 15 minutes. It's like this one is a 13-minute video.
The button element detects user input and can trigger an event. User input is usually the pointer hovering over or clicking on the button graphic. To create a pre-made button, use the Create menu to create UI button. Like all UI elements, the button element must be the child of the canvas. If one is not present when creating a pre-made button, a new canvas will be created. For more information on the canvas, please see the information link below. A button element requires an image script and a button script. Pre-made button elements also include an optional text element attached to the child. This text element is optional and can be removed if the button does not need any additional text. For more information on the image and text items, please see the information link below. Interactable determines whether or not this particular button will accept input. To prevent interaction with this button, set Interactable to false. When Interactable is set to false, the transition state for this button element will be set to the disabled state. By default, the button element will display the normal state of the button. The look of the normal state is automatically set by the image component attached to the button element. Depending upon the transition mode chosen, a button can also display a highlighted, pressed, and disabled state. Transition mode determines whether or not the button element will display any of these additional states, and if so, controls the button's look in each state, and the style of the transition between these states. A highlighted state is set when the pointer is hovering over the button element, or the button element is selected using keyboard or controller navigation. The pressed state is when the button is being held down, pressed but not released. The disabled state is set when the button element is not interactable. The look and behavior of these other transition states, if available, are determined by the transition mode. The transition mode can be set with a transition pop-up menu. None will have no additional states and therefore no transitions. The button element will work as expected, but there will be no visual feedback, and the unaltered normal state will be displayed at all times. Color Tint is the default transition mode. In this mode, the same graphical element is used for each state. Target graphic is the image component to be tinted. In almost all cases, this will be the image component attached to the button element. The button script will set this reference to the attached image component automatically if the image component is attached to the game object when the button script is added. Normal, highlighted, pressed, and disabled color define the tint color that will be applied to the target graphic when the button is in each of these states. Color Multiplier multiplies the tint color for each transition by its value. This allows for colors greater than 1, which is useful for brightening the colors or alpha channel on some graphic elements, whose base color is less than white or less than full alpha. Fade duration is the time in seconds the transition takes between states. Sprite Swap will use different sprite images for each state, and swaps them depending upon the state of the button. In this mode, a new graphical element is required for each state. Target graphic is the image for the normal state. In almost all cases, this will be the image component attached to the button element. The highlighted, pressed, and disabled sprites are references to the sprite images to be displayed for each state. Animation allows for each transition to be fully animated using Unity's animation system. This is the most powerful of transition modes due to the number of properties that can be animated simultaneously. To use the animation transition mode, an animator component needs to be attached to the button element. To add this animator component automatically and generate an animator controller with states already set up, click Auto Generate Animation. The new animator controller will need to be saved. No action needs to be taken with this new animator controller. The transition between states can be customized if desired, but this is not necessary. For more information on the animator component and the animator controller, please see the information link below. It is worth noting that, unlike most animator controllers, this controller will also store the animations for the button's transitions. With the animator controller attached and the button element selected, the animations for each of these button states can be edited by opening the animation window. The animation window can be found under Window, Animation, or by using the shortcut keys of Command 6 on the Mac or Control 6 on Windows. To select the state to be edited, use the Animation Clip pop-up menu to select the desired clip. With these pre-made controllers, there should be a state for Normal, Highlighted, Pressed, and Disabled. In most cases, the normal state will be left empty, with no animation keyframes created, as the normal state will be set by the values on the button element itself. On all other states, the most common configuration for each state is a single keyframe at 0 seconds, or the start of the timeline. The transition animation between states will be handled by the Animator Controller as it fades between states. For example, the width of the button in the highlighted state could be changed by selecting the state to be edited, in this case, highlighted from the animation clip pop-up menu, and with the playhead at 0 seconds, or the start of the timeline. Selecting the record button, changing the width of the button in the inspector, and exiting record mode. When in play mode, note how the button now grows when highlighted. It is worth noting that any number of properties can have their values set in this one keyframe. For more information on animation, animation clips, and the animation window, please see the information link below. If several buttons share the same behavior, these button elements can share Animator Controllers. Make sure all of these buttons have their transition mode set to animation, and that they all have an Animator Component attached. Finally, associate the shared Animator Controller with all of the button elements. When in play mode, note how all of the buttons now share the same animated transitions. Navigation describes how the selection of UI elements is handled when using keyboard or controller input. Navigation is shared by many UI elements and will be covered in its own lesson. For most circumstances, navigation can simply be set to automatic. For more information on navigation, please see the information link below. The UI framework contains a powerful event system. A new event system is added to the scene when the canvas is created. When the event system detects a press and a release over the same button element, the event system will process a click, and the on-click event will be called. The button component includes a built-in on-click functions list that contains a list of all the functions that are called when the button is clicked. Additional events can be detected and used by the button element, like when the pointer enters or exits the area over the button element, but this requires an additional component to be attached. For more information on events, the event system, and event triggers, please see the information linked below. All of the functions in the functions list will be called when the button is clicked. To add a new function to the function list, click the plus icon to create a new row in the list. To remove a function from the function list, click on the row containing the function, even if there is only one, and then click the minus icon to remove it. Looking at a row in the function list, the checkbox indicates whether or not this function will be called by the on-click event. The first field is an object field. Associating a game object with the object field will allow the event system to find all the functions on that game object eligible to be called by the on-click event. This can be done by either using the object picker or by dragging the object into the field. The function list shows all of the components on the game object, including both the built-in components and custom scripts. After selecting the desired component, a new list shows the eligible functions on the component. Select the function that will be called by the on-click event. The final field is a parameter field. This field is for passing an argument into the function when it is called, and can be left empty. To be eligible, a function must be public, have the return type of void, and have one or no parameters. If the function has a parameter, it must be a float, int, string, bool, or Unity object. It is worth noting that Unity object is the base of almost all classes in Unity, including game object, component, mono behavior, and more. This makes the object parameter more powerful than expected at first glance, as it can accept many items as an argument. If the parameter is a float, int, or string, the value needs to be entered in the parameter field. If the parameter is an object needs to be associated with the parameter field. This can be done by either using the object picker or by dragging the object into the field. If the parameter is a bool, a checkbox will appear and the bool parameter can be set by checking or unchecking the box. As an example, we could add the sphere as the game object to the first row, select the mesh renderer, and then set the mesh renderer's material. The parameter needs an object reference. We can choose any available material. At the same time, the on-click event could call a second function, this time on the capsule. Using the game object itself, the on-click event could call setActive, with a value of false. The most common function to call will most likely be a custom one. custom functions need to be public, void, and have one or no parameters. If the function has a parameter, it must be a float, int, string, bool, or unity object.
Okay, I already said that.
The script must be attached to a game object, and that game object must be associated with the object field. The custom script will be visible in the list, and from the custom script, the custom function can be selected. If there are no parameters, the parameter field can be left blank. Now, in play mode, the effect of all three functions can be seen when the button is clicked.
Okay, pretty cool. Mark that one as complete. Oh, gotta log in. Let's do it this way. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna take a short break. So I'm gonna do the be right back screen and mute my mic. Alright, I am back. I was pretty interested in a particular thing because on my canvas here, there's this big X thing. So I have this panel. Weird. Why do these all look so weird? I think there's just some update issue. It looks like it's fixed itself now. I had this panel here and I wanted it to be behind the score. Like I wanted the score to be on top of it. So I guess I just put the score inside of the panel and then the score text shows up on top. Don't really know if that's the best way to do that. Okay, we want this to start with a score of 0. And then in the other canvas, I want the text or everything else to match. So in the settings, there's the header. I want that to be this font. And I want to choose the color that we've used for everything else. I'll tag this one so we can see what's going on. Okay, so then we have this other text here. The settings. There are no settings right now. But we're gonna make sure the font matches. And make the font size match as well. There's 48. So now we'll do the controls. Same thing. Set that up, choose the right color. And the content is this text. Oh no. It's opening the font, I think. It's not what I want. Okay, that's the controls page. Now we can go to the last page, which is the credits. Turn that one on, and we'll fix this up. And then we might want to change up the buttons too. But within the credits, we have the header. Choose the font we want. Choose the color we want. Text. We'll change the size to 48. Choose the font we want. Choose the color we want. Alright, now these buttons. So here's the main button. So we can choose our color there. And then for the highlighted color, we'll choose this one, and then we'll go a bit brighter. So we'll turn everything up by 5. So the max is going to be 255, so the red is going to max out at 255. This one will turn to 204. This one will turn to 51. So that should be a bit brighter. And then we'll make a new swatch for that. That's really hard to tell apart. Maybe let's go 10 brighter. 209. 56. Okay, and then now we'll start with this color and we'll go darker, so 243, 289, 36. And I've reordered those to go from darkest to lightest. It's kind of hard to tell with these little tiny dots down, like these little tiny squares down here, but yeah. Okay, and then what was the selected again? I was talking about this in the video. Didn't follow that part very well.
Using keyboard or controller navigation. The pressed state is when the button is being held down, pressed but not released. The disabled state is set when the button element is not interactable.
Okay, but there's no selected color. Alright. To the internet. Unity button selected color. Here's the API. Well, I guess if we leave it a totally different color, we'll see. And then the text, maybe we can leave as black, but then we can go change it to this other interesting font. Okay. Change the other buttons too. So for the normal one, we'll pick the medium color. For the highlighted, we'll pick the brighter one. For the pressed, we'll pick the darker one. We'll change the font to match this. Okay. And then the canvas has like a background on it. I think that's this main image thing here. So it has this color. I should save that because it's just part of the style, so I can keep it for other things, like for this panel. This panel, we can choose that color so it matches. So you see, let me mute the audio. So when we hover over these buttons, they get a little bit brighter. Not quite as bright as I would like them to be yet, I think. So it gets brighter, then you click it and it gets dark. And then once it's selected, that's this color. Okay. Oh, I want to go change this color to yellow as well. Okay, so back on the buttons, we gotta go see, this is where it would be nice to have some colors. Let me do something. I'm gonna write a script that stores the colors so that way we don't have to go through all the buttons and stuff and change them. So move button colors into the UI folder. Okay. And I'll open this up. Let's just try to do this. Do a private button. That's in Unity engine.ui. Okay. And then we need to have a require component type of button. And then on start we can do button equals get component button. And then we'll have our colors here. So this is going to be our normal color? Can't be called that. It's called, oh, it is called normal color. Highlighted color, private color, pressed color, and then private color, selected color. And I don't know what the numbers are right now, so just put RGB in there for now. So for the normal color we have, it's 253, 199, 46. 253, 199, 46. Well, there's got to be a way to set these programmatically. Hi, Drilo Spinky. Thanks for watching. Right now, we're working on the user interface, setting this up to be a little bit more programmatic, so I'm gonna put this button script on all the buttons so it sets up the colors, so that way if we want to change the colors we only have to go edit one script rather than all of the buttons. That'll make things a lot easier. User interface on the Gem Smasher game I've been messing around with just as a learning exercise. Yeah, pretty cool. Alright, let's go to here and get the button API. So this is the button, and I'm interested in looking for something on the button that's got to do with the transition of the colors. So I think I imported the wrong kind of button is what's going on. I did a UI elements button. I think I just want UI. Now I can do transition, or yeah. Transition options. Here we go. Button.colors.normal color equals normal color. Okay, so I have to have a local color block. Call this colors, get this from the button. Okay. And I can do colors dot normal color equals normal color. Set this for all the other ones. Got the highlighted color. The pressed color. And the selected color. Once I've set all four of those, then I do button dot colors equals the local one. That should fix that. Okay, so the normal color is going to be the color we've already chosen. And then I want the highlighted color to be brighter. So I'm kind of curious what the API of color looks like. So what if I did normal color dot, I can't do that here. There's a gamma. What is the gamma? Unity color. I don't think that's what we want. I was wondering if there's maybe a way to apply like 20% brighter. That'd been pretty easy. Okay, let's add 20 to all of these guys. So but we can't go over 255, so we go 255 for the red. The green goes to 19. This one goes to 66. Now, I want the pressed color to be very dark, so I want it to be 30 less. So I'm going to do 222, 169, and then 16. And then the selected color should be a bit darker, so I'm going to do 15 less. So that's 4338. 84, 631. So now I should be able to throw this script onto all of the buttons and have them be set up that way. This would be a good opportunity to do an editor script, so I could add a button onto this script where I click it and it just goes and sets the button colors in the editor before I click start. But we should be able to see it when I go and click play. In fact, we do not. Bummer. Why didn't that work? Hmm. Well, that's at least different. We affected it. We should set the color multiplier to 1, just in case that's being 0, makes it all basically invisible. My, that is frustrating. If I set this to something other than 1. other than what it was before, basically. Let me see if I'm actually affecting stuff here. Like a fade duration as well. An eighth of a second. Just gonna restart. What is this? That's strange. So there's likely some sort of issue with the colors that we're doing. Maybe these need to be Fs so it doesn't mess up when converting from int to float. Also just make one of these public so that way we can see it in the editor. I think I know what's up. And the values have to be percentages, not out of 255. That's frustrating. I'm just gonna make a function new color 255. It's gonna take an int. Okay, so the issue is then I had numbers that were greater than 1, and since it was expecting a float percentage, if it's over 1, then it's just white. So, yeah. That should be fixed now. Oh, it looks weird because I have that color multiplier greater than 1. Cool. Okay, I was just noticing, I don't think that the token is actually the same color. Is there not a token pre-color? Seems a bit too saturated for what I want. And then just make sure the player's that same color. Thanks to the apple fritter. So I have this background here, and this is a little dark. Change the HSV so I can just adjust the visibility, hue, saturation, visibility. That's what it is. I'll do like that. So it's a little bit darker than the foreground. And then I have the far background. And I'm going to do the same thing with that. But I do want it to be darker than the foreground. So that way there's like some things that look closer and some things that look further away. See, like there's the clouds that are close, and then the clouds that are further away are darker. That really gives some sort of texture to the world. Okay. So there's this background here, and I don't know what this does. Like, I think if I just delete this, it'll be fine. Yeah. That was just something that was left around. I don't think that was necessary in any sense. So I am gonna keep working on this interface here. So for the heads-up display, on the left side, or sorry, on the right side we have the score, but on the left side I want to add some stuff. I want to add two things. So I'm gonna make another panel over here. Call this left panel. So I'm gonna make it like this one over here in width, but I want it to be twice as tall. Change it to look like that. Now I'll drag it over to the other corner. I want it to be twice as tall because I'm going to have two pieces of text on here. I'm going to give it the same background as the other one. And then I'm going to give it a Text Mesh Pro. This one will be gem count. Text Mesh Pro, and this one's going to be time. So now let me go into the game and see if this looks like an appropriate size and placement. Yeah, the top text seems a little too high. But that's because I can set the vertical alignment to middle. That looks better. I should do that on this one too. So here's the time one, and we're gonna have a script on here which is gonna keep track of the time. So this is just gonna be game timer. It's going to go into the scripts folder. From within the scripts folder, I'm going to put it into the gameplay folder. There it is. Game timer. Then I'm going to give the game timer a, well, let's talk about what the API should look like. So we need to have a decision made first about whether it's going to be the kind of game where the time goes up indefinitely, or if it's a game where the timer counts down and you gotta complete within a certain amount of time. I think I'd rather have it be just a game where it counts up indefinitely. That way the bar can start pretty high for what the score is, and then it can eventually get really, really low. And then also we can maybe have, like, when you jump on an enemy, it takes 10 seconds off your time or something like that. So yep, that's what I'm thinking. So we need an API that's like start timer. So this will get called when you first click a button to start moving. And then we need one to do stop timer for when we reach the end. And then we need some way to get the current time. And then we need a way to like maybe like modify timer, so that takes in a float. That's in terms of seconds. So if it's positive, it'll add to your time. If it's negative, it'll take away from your time. So okay. So what else might you need? I kind of like the idea that maybe when you hit a speed boost, it like slows down the time. Just like you move faster, but it just looks that way because the time's moving slower. I'm gonna leave it out for now, because the speed boost already makes you go faster. So it like already is reducing the amount of time it's gonna take. Okay. So I also want the timer to be observable. So I'm gonna be able to use the interface I already wrote. I'll add these in. And then again, I'm just gonna copy the implementation from somewhere else. Now to implement this, we'll need a float start time. So then when start timer is called, we'll do start time is equal to, I saw somewhere else did it. We did it here for the updating time.time. We'll have a stop time here, and we'll just set it to 0. And then we'll need to have a Boolean. It's like stopped. So we'll have public void awake, and in here we'll set stopped equal to true, so it starts off stopped. And then when we do the start timer, set stopped equal to false. And then when we stop the timer, we set stop time equal to time.time. Set stopped equal to true. So now when we get time, we will check if stopped. Then we will return stop time minus start time. And if we're not stopped, then we do return time.time minus start time. And now we'll modify the timer. Oh, what's the way to do this? I saw someone else do it. We can do tooltip. So modifies the timer by the past amount, does so by adjusting the start time. Maybe it wasn't tooltip. Okay, so if you pass in a positive number, right, that means that you are adding time onto the clock. Pass in a negative number, then you're taking time off the clock. So to add time to the clock, we need to move the start time further back. So we do start time minus equals seconds. I'm trying to think of any bugs that could show up here. So if you do something like jump on an enemy and that takes off 10 seconds, and then you immediately jump into a pit, and so the time ends within less than 10 seconds, your start time might be ahead of your stop time, so you might actually result in get current time might be negative. That doesn't seem like an acceptable return, so we'll do max math dot max of 0 and whatever that is. So if this is less than 0, then it'll just return 0. We'll do the same thing for this one. Or maybe more appropriately, we don't let the start time be after the current time. So, sorry, let me clean up these parentheses. So we do start time is the math f dot min of time dot time and start time minus seconds. So is start time minus a negative number, so if it's like start time plus 10 puts you ahead of the current time, then you just lose the extra. If the modification would move start time past the current would move the start time past the current time, then we will set the start time to now. Okay, now the question is, when do we notify the observers? So, I'm gonna have a float here that's like notify observer frequency, and maybe we'll update the observers every second. Okay, and then we'll have a float that says last observer notification time. And we'll just start off with that as 0. Then we do public void update we check if time minus last observer notification time. Oh, and also these guys should have the underscores. Is greater than notify observer frequency, then we will notify the observers. That seems like a good option. Put some extra parentheses in here to clarify order of operations. Okay, so this game timer class has the responsibility of keeping track of the game time. I don't want to put the responsibility of updating the game time UI into this class as well. It'd be good to keep those things separate. So back on the time object, I'm gonna make a new script called game timer UI. Game timer UI is gonna be sorted into the UI folder. Okay. Now this one will be like the score UI. It's going to require a Text Mesh Pro component. Where's that score UI? I want to open that up. I guess I didn't do a require here, but I should. Component text mesh pro UGI. I suppose we should add in a if timer does not equal null. Then do that, otherwise we'll get a null pointer reference. So then we can like drag this timer into here. Cool. Okay, so you see it just set it back to 0. That's because we didn't do anything complicated with the text here. So if we did time like that and then plus, now it'll at least be time 0, but it won't look like it does in the preview here where it's got the colons and the dots. So I need to make a time formatter to do that, but I bet C# has one. No, Java does. Try parse exact. Standard time span. This might be more of what we're interested in. So time span. Custom time span format strings. So we can do time span. Close new time span. Hasn't heard of this yet, so gotta import system. And I think we want the one with hours, minutes, and seconds. Yeah, let's do hours, minutes, and seconds. So 0 hours, 0 minutes, and then the seconds is equal to timer.get current time. Dot to int maybe. And then we can do time span dot toString, and then we have to tell it how to format itself. So we want minutes and then a colon and then seconds dot milliseconds. So we have minutes, seconds, and then 3 Fs is milliseconds. Maybe we only want to go down to tenths of a second, so we can just do 1 F That might be nicer. Dot toString minute. Let me have to do this. Colon seconds dot ff. Let's do it like that. Oh, compiler error. Missed a parenthesis. Unrecognized escape sequence. I thought they did that here. I have to put an @ symbol there. Probably. There, now it's formatted the way we expect it to be. Cool. It's just not counting up yet because we haven't clicked start time. Alright, I've been going for 2 hours. I think I made really good progress today. So, to summarize, we watched a tutorial on, we watched a tutorial on the UI button through Unity Learn. Got that done. Found a couple of other possible tutorials to look through. And then I went and augmented the user interface that we had before. So that way we've got the gems collected in the time here. I set it up so that the buttons on the menu are all connected to this script, so if we wanted to go change things, it'd be really easy to do that. Then I figured out about the time span formatter that Unity had, sorry, not Unity, that C# has built into its system library. And next time we should be able to start timer on button press. Then we want to hook up timer to a new timer score script. And finally, hook up the main score to the new timer score script. So that way we have a relationship between the score for our time and the gems we've collected. Also, we want to hook up the gems collected UI, but that can be for later. I don't have work tomorrow. Tomorrow's a holiday, so I can spend quite a bit of time working on stuff tomorrow. Hopefully I can get all those things done. Go ahead and save my scene. And I'm gonna sign off now. So thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know, leave a like, drop a subscribe, or come watch live on Twitch sometime. That's all. Have a nice day and goodbye.